Your heart is racing. Your palms are sweaty. And you're sitting outside of the interview room, running through your answers. And suddenly your mind goes blank. Sound familiar? Well, interview anxiety is a real thing, and it can cost you the job that you deserve. But what if I told you that there was a way to control those emotions and that anxiety and turn it into an asset? On today's episode, we're going to explore 5 ways that we can turn that anxiety into confidence. Grab your pen, grab your piece of paper, and get ready to take some notes. Let's do this. Hey there, Dr. Gordon Amerson here, Superintendent of Schools and Gallup Certified Strengths Coach. And on this channel, we leverage my experience from classroom teacher all the way to the office of school district superintendent to help you go further, faster in your educational leadership and your educational journey. If this is your first time with us, thank you so much for joining us and welcome in. And while you're here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button as well as the bell notification so you don't miss any cool updates or any of our latest episodes or content. So let's start off with the reality. I know how nerve-wracking interviews can be. We want desperately to do well during interviews. We want to impress the panel. We want to impress the lead person, the decision maker of who's going to extend the job offer. We want to do that. And we know that interviewing is high stakes, right? And when something is high stakes, like you really, really, really want it. You really want to do well. You want to succeed. You want to get that opportunity. You want to be given the chance to grow. You want to be given the chance to lead. You want to be given the chance to inspire. All these things come as a result of being able to navigate the challenges that come with interviewing. So as we think about how do we deal with some of the anxiety and some of the nerves and some of what I would just classify for some folks, sort of the fear of what it means to be in that high stress environment, I want to empower you. I want to give you tools. I want to give you assets. I want to give you knowledge that will help you go into that next interview feeling like you can do it, feeling like you can and will achieve, feeling like you can and you will leave a mark, a memory, a moment, an experience on the people who are in that room so they don't forget you. And you're the first call that they make to give you the next opportunity. So we're going to explore 5 strategies, 5 different things that you can do to calm those nerves, create that level of confidence, and put you in the best position possible to excel the next time you're in the interview room. So get set, because we're going to jump right in to strategy number 1. All right, so strategy number 1. That is the power of the first 30 seconds. The power of the first 30 seconds of your interview, I cannot understate how important it is. You want to walk into the room with an air of confidence. You do. You want to have your shoulders back. You want to have your head upright. You want to have a huge smile on your face. You want to show that you're excited. You're excited about being in the room. You're excited about the opportunity. You're excited about the conversation that you're getting ready to have. And so the first 30 seconds, walking in with that confidence, walking in with that smile, greeting people, good morning, good afternoon. It's wonderful to see you. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for your time today. Thank you for the time and the opportunity that you're giving me today. These are all the things that are happening in that first 30 seconds, and it starts you off in a very, very good position. So don't forsake and don't take for granted the first 30 seconds. Don't go in there sheepish. Don't go in there overzealous or verbose either. Go in there with a measured level of confidence. And there's nothing that will be said negatively about having a huge smile on your face and appearing warm and friendly and connective. Those are all things that you can do. So the power of the first 30 seconds, just to make that first initial impression. Is this somebody that has confidence? Is this somebody who walks in the room and you feel like they'll be able to do the job? You feel like they'll be able to be a part of the team. You feel like they will be able to contribute. Those are the signs. Those are the signals that you want to show. Those are the signals you want to convey as you project who you are. Don't give up the first 30 seconds. They're critical to establishing a very, very great kind of environment, a great environment for your interview to move forward. That's strategy number one. All right, when we think about strategy number two, I want you to think about moving from performance mode into conversation mode. Now, what do I mean? Well, the interview, because it is such a high stress, high anxiety, high level of tension that are going on in the room, you can sometimes feel like you're performing, that you're performing on a stage for people. But what I would encourage you to do is move out of that feeling and move out of that mode and move into a conversation. So think about yourself as having a conversation about the things that you are most passionate about. So if you are most passionate about supporting students, if you are most passionate about providing support to teachers and staff, if you're a classified employee, you want to talk about your passion of service and giving and being able to connect the dots and keep the train moving on time, right? Our classified professionals, you can exude that confidence and you can have that conversation about your passion by just talking about naturally who you are and what gifts and talents you bring to the conversation. Don't feel like you have to perform. Talk to us. Almost like you're sitting in a cafe having a cup of coffee. Not too relaxed, but not performative, but authentic. An authentic conversation about who you are and what you bring to the table. Move away from feeling like you're performing and move into a place where you feel like you're talking, conversing, and you're just having a really good conversation. One strategy you could use when thinking about moving from performance to conversation is when you hear the question, don't feel like you have to immediately respond. Take a moment. Take a deep breath. Take that moment to pause, really process the question. And the reason that I think that is a really good strategy is that many times in an interview, the question can have multiple parts. And if you jump into the question before you've actually had a chance to kind of process, think about it, reflect, and then construct what you might want to be your response, your brain is immediately going to process the very first part of the question. The very first thing that you heard, you're thinking about that. And if you're not thinking, hear the whole question, take a moment, pause, breathe, and process, and then respond, you may not get the multiple parts. And so many times candidates will feel like they didn't do a great job. They'll say, oh man, I didn't answer the whole question. Well, take a moment just to pause, step back, and make sure you really have that. Another strategy that you can use in this same scenario is it is absolutely okay to ask the interviewer who provided the question. It's totally fine to ask them to repeat the question. If you happen to have a piece of scratch paper or you happen to have something in front of you, potentially maybe the questions or there's something there, you can jot a note to yourself to make sure you have everything. But what I want you to do is I want you to be able to process and then provide a really nice, well thought out response, because we want to have a conversation, not a performance. So again, using some of these strategies, slow down. You don't have to be in a hurry. You don't have to be in a rush, but thinking through, taking a moment, pausing, reflecting, asking for a repeat of the question, writing down a note, jotting down a note. This helps you move from feeling like you're in the middle of a performance and it moves into a place where you have an authentic interaction, an authentic conversation with the interviewer or with the panel. All right. So moving from performance into authentic conversation is strategy number 2. So before we move into the next strategy, we're going to take a quick moment just to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. And the sponsor of today's video is principleleader.com. Go to principleleader.com for all things educational leadership. If you want blogs, resources, newsletters, courses that can help you go further, faster in your educational journey, go to principleleader.com. And now back to the episode. All right, so strategy number 3. I want you to use, and this is most effective using it before you enter the building. Maybe you do it inside of the building, but let me just give you an example. So the strategy is called the 3-2-1 grounding technique. So it starts with 3 things that you see, 2 things that you feel, and 1 thing that you hear. So 3 things that you see. Maybe you see buildings. Maybe you see clouds in the sky. Maybe you see colleagues. Maybe you see students. Maybe you see animals. Anything. 3 things that you see, but taking a moment to recognize and point out those 3 things. 2 things that you feel. Maybe you feel the ground underneath your 2 feet. Maybe you feel the sun on your face. Maybe you feel the wind whipping through your coat. 2 things that you feel. And then 1 thing that you hear. You hear kids playing. You hear birds chirping. You hear the roar of a car down the street. 3 things that you see, 2 things that you feel, and 1 thing that you hear. It just grounds you in the moment. It reminds you of where you are in that space, in that time, and in that environment. And it will calm you as you start to just ground yourself in the moment of what it is that you're going to do. It's a really important way to calm yourself down, kind of recalibrate your breathing, recalibrate where you are in the environment that you found yourself in. And it'll give you that calming effect. So when you go in to the building and when you go into the room, you've kind of grounded yourself. One other thing you can do in this grounding of yourself and your emotions, and I personally do this and I strongly recommend it. Play your favorite playlists. Play songs that bring you joy, bring you happiness, give you energy, give you vibrance, give you confidence, right? So the things that you can do to ground yourself and give you a level of confidence, I want you to utilize as much as possible. So think about using the 3-2-1 grounding technique as another strategy to build your confidence while preparing and going into the interview process. All right, before we move to strategy number 4, I want you to go to the pinned comments below the video because we have a free gift for you there. And this is going to give you all types of additional resources and frameworks and ways to think about how to prepare for your next interview. So go to the pinned comments below and click on that link, and you can get access to this free guide that will give you different frameworks and different strategies, different resources that are going to help you prepare to crush it in your next interview. All right, let's move to strategy number 4. All right, strategy number 4. We're talking about the anchor story method. So I strongly advise having really important, impactful anecdotes or stories that you can share. Like a story about student success, a story about resilience, a story about incorporating innovation. Like these are 3 examples of the types of stories that you may have. You can have them ready because if you have these stories or these anecdotes ready, you're not necessarily scrambling for answers, but you're thinking about now, if I have these stories ready to deploy, I can think about strategically how I can incorporate them into responses to questions that I receive. And I'm not scrambling, just trying to come up with answers, but I have some things that I know I want to talk about. I have some stories. I have some examples. I have some very specific, tailored um, anecdotes, factoids that I want to share. So thinking about that, and then also having, and this goes one or two layers deeper, but having a 30-second version of that story and also a 90-second version of that story, right? So you can tell an abbreviated version or you can tell a more extended version. And knowing when and where to deploy these stories and when and where to use them and how to tailor and weave them into certain questions, those are advanced skills. But the more you practice these things and the more you realize that these are resources and assets that you're going to want to have at your disposal and weave them into your preparation for interviews, the better you are going to be at utilizing them effectively. And so thinking about having that anchor story to share, an anchor story, a powerful story about student success is always going to be helpful, especially when we're talking about questions around student achievement, as we're talking about student success, we're talking about how to help, support, and guide students. Having that student success story is going to be important. Having a story about resilience, how you've persevered to be in that room that day, the trials and tribulations that maybe you've experienced or folks you've helped experience or folks that you've helped what they've experienced, but stories of resilience, stories about community resilience and the impact that you had, the problems that you helped to solve, the folks that you helped to support. Stories about innovation. We're in this ever changing and growing and expanding technologically driven environment. So innovation around how to create a more engaging classroom, how to be on the cutting edge of what's happening, how to be a guide for students as they are traversing these things around technology and STEAM and AI and all of these fun things. Telling those stories about your successes around innovation, the things that you've learned, the cutting edge ideas that you have. These are all sources of stories that you could build in to your response. And it's going to give that flavor and that context. It's going to go beyond just a bland, dry response to a question. So thinking about how to use and deploy those anchor stories, those 30-second to 90-second versions, is going to be a really critical skill that I want you to be able to use to put you a cut above the rest of the folks who are interviewing. So don't forget strategy number 4, which is making sure you have the anchor stories ready. All right, strategy number 5. And strategy number 5 is reframing nervous energy as excitement. Now we know that our bodies experience nervousness and excitement physiologically kind of the same way. Heart rate goes up, start to get a little hot under their collar, right? We start to feel a little jittery, a little nervous. Well, that's nervousness and excitement. So physiologically, they both happen the same way. So just reframe the way your body's feeling and turn that nervousness into excitement. So don't use the term, I'm nervous. Instead, use the term, I'm excited. I wouldn't say, I'm nervous to tell you about my experience. I'm going to say, I'm excited to tell you about my experience. My body's going through the same thing, but I'm excited to tell you about all the things that I would love to be able to share with students, all the things I would love to do to be able to connect and support the campus and support the staff. I'm excited, not nervous. We know you're nervous. Everybody gets nervous in an interview. If you're not nervous, then you probably shouldn't be interviewing for that job because it's not gotten you hyped enough, excited enough. Your desire, your drive is not there. So if you're not kind of jacked up for the interview or jacked up for the opportunity that the interview presents, maybe in the wrong room. So we expect you to be nervous, but how do you reframe that nervousness around, I'm excited about this opportunity. I'm excited about the road ahead. I'm excited to talk to you about the things that I'm inspired and excited to do. So reframing that energy is going to be a really powerful way to kind of reposition yourself in the room. So utilize that in that strategy number 5. All right, so before I give you kind of a high impact strategy, and we've been giving you strategies along the way, but I've got one more for you. So thanks for sticking with us until this point in the video. And share with us in the comments below which of the 5 strategies that we've talked about already so far, which one is resonating with you most? Which one are you going to utilize? Which one are you going to focus on growing and developing your skills around? Share that with us in the comments below. And let's talk about this bonus strategy. All right, let's talk about the bonus strategy. And the bonus strategy, if done right, can leave and make a very memorable moment during the interview process. So that bonus strategy is what we'll call reverse interviewing and asking a really good, strong question at the end of your interview. Lots of candidates fumble over the opportunity when given the following prompt. Do you have any questions for us? And then we start to fumble for what we should ask. Well, the reality is we should have some really good, strong questions ready to ask that tells the panel that we've researched the organization, we've researched the school, that we care enough to dig in and ask some questions. We're focused, we're solution oriented. So questions like, what's one trait the best teachers at the school have in common? That's a great question. That's a great question. What's one trait that the best teachers in the school all have in common? What's another great question? Another great question is, what's a current challenge in this school that I could help solve as a new staff member? It's a great question. One that's going to make the panel think that you're a solution-oriented candidate. One that's going to also make the panel think that you are somebody who's done their due diligence and done their research. All things that will leave a positive memory in their heads. And that's what you want. You want, when you walk out of the room, for the panel to still be thinking about you, what you said, your responses, and how you made them feel. You want that. You don't want this to be another piece of paper that's on the stack of candidates. You want to be the one that they go searching through, then they want to find that paper and they want your name at the top and they want your name to be the name that gets called. These are the types of strategies that you're going to use in order to do just that. So there you have it. 5 strategies to reduce your anxiety, build your confidence in their interview room. And then one additional strategy that I think can just be the game changer where you just kind of knock it completely out of the park as a candidate. So I want you to be successful. And these are the types of strategies that I think if you take the time to think through and focus and build and practice, I think they will help you immensely. And so if you made it again to this point of the video, thank you so much for sticking with us. Hopefully you got lots of value. And if you got value out of the video, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video with a friend, leave a comment, give us your feedback. We're building a community and we're trying to build this community to 10,000 educators and leaders who want to grow and build their skills and knowledge and capacity. And if you want more information about interviewing and building your skills and your knowledge and capacity, don't forget to check out this next video right here. It's going to give you lots of information as well. Don't forget to go to the description below the video for more information on mentoring and on our weekly newsletter and on all of our resources and things that are available as we're building this community. I want to thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you for the opportunity to give you as much information as possible to help you along your way and along your journey. And so until we see you on our next one, take care of yourself, take care of each other, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, everyone.